in October, and it didn't want to be anywhere near us. What's she looking at, though? She's very intrigued by something this morning. She keeps looking around and kind of staring at things, and I don't know if she's feeling a little bit unsettled, or if there's a reason for her to be kind of staring around. Like I say, we did have those Franklin's alarm calling. Maybe she's noticed something. Godfrey asking, are lions the ones that purr the loudest? So lions, unlike cheetah, don't really purr. Their voice box, or if you want to call it that, their larynx, is designed differently to the way that cheetah and other cats, or smaller cats, are. And so these guys have the ability to roar, which means that purring is not really something that they can do. So no, they don't have the loudest purr. Cheetah probably have the loudest purr of the cats. When you go near a cheetah, it's purring. It sounds like a kind of motor is running inside their throat. Whereas these guys are quite quiet. You don't hear them, but they do have the loudest roar by quite a long way. They also have the most impressive roar, as far as I'm concerned. Things like tigers, snow leopards, jaguars, very different sound to what they have. These guys have these beautiful extended, especially the males, those extended roars and these thumping, massive sounds that come out of them. There's nothing quite like a lion's roar. Are you watching the birds fly over? Very curious this morning. I think this little one is bored. It's like, Mom, why are we sleeping and not doing something? But yeah, this is one of the most impressive sounds. There's nothing that really beats lions roaring right next to you. It's a sound that lives with you forever, and you kind of always want more of it, particularly if you can get a number of males together and with the pride. I'm sure Steve will be able to tell you stories of time spent with the mountain pride where, you had 35, 36, 38 lions all roaring around you. It's no joke. The best roars I've ever had was from the 6 Mapojos together. That was quite something to hear the 6 male lions kind of, I suppose that, and another sighting where we had the Styx young male, the 6 Matimbas, and 4 Birminghams, Jingalands, not Birminghams, on Gari Main, and they were fighting with each other because they had both started hunting the same buffalo herd and then run into each other. And the noise that morning was just unbelievable. Some of you that are watching might actually remember it. It was in 2012. You see more Franklin's alarm calling now, just further down from where we had those last ones. I wonder if there's not a leopard moving around here. But like I said, that was just absolutely incredible. Just from a point of view that you had 10 male lions, big male lions, that were angry. And so the roars were incessant from about, I remember it was a sort of late winter morning, or almost early spring. And these lions started roaring at about 4 in the morning. And they just went and went and went. And at about 10:30, 11, the kind of last roars were ringing out. But it was very difficult to follow what was going on because the males were chasing each other. And because there were so many of them, you couldn't figure out where everybody was. And it was right on Gari Main. So they would run north into Vuyatela, Djuma, which at that stage we as Chitwa couldn't traverse. And then they would run kind of back into Little Gari, which meant the guys from Djuma couldn't traverse. Everyone was just trying to keep track of all of this. And in the chaos, we managed to find Mafufanyan watching all of this going on from a termite mound. He looked as though he was thoroughly amused by it. So we had, these 10 male lions that were fighting. Then there was this young male lion that was just trying to avoid all the chaos. A leopard and a herd of about 300 buffalo in the same site. It was absolute pandemonium, but the noise from it was probably the best part of it. It's just these massive belting roars ringing out for hours on end. It's pretty spectacular. Talking about roars, these two probably won't be roaring anytime soon. Just in general, they wouldn't roar. It's also getting too late in the morning. What I might do is we'll see what they kind of get up to now that the sun's coming out and warming them up. Maybe they'll get going again, but if not, we'll carry on and go and check on the den. In the meantime, they'll send you across to Eric and his lions, and hopefully they're a little bit more active than ours.
Doesn't look like these lions are going to be roaring anytime soon either. We've actually been lucky enough when they're together with their mums and their fathers to hear them roar, but they haven't developed their vocal cords enough yet, and so when they roar, they try their heart out, but it just comes out more like, especially by themselves. I'm sure that they'll feel slightly vulnerable without their mothers to protect them, and they're not wanting to advertise their presence. So if they decided to roar and there was some unrelated lions in the area, then it could cause quite a lot of trouble for them, especially if those big adults decided to come and investigate the calls. So they'll mostly be silent, and they might try and respond if they hear and recognize some of the other pride members within this area. And we were saying there's probably a good chance that these lions are going to spend less and less time with their mothers, particularly because their mothers are now pretty much all of them, all four of them, we think are looking for places to find suitable spots to give birth to their cubs. And we know of one female who's already given birth, and her sister we found not so long ago also lactating. So there's at least 2 of the 4 lionesses who have already given birth, and it's just the 2 older lionesses who we haven't found lactating or showing signs of being pregnant yet either. And so for now, I think these guys are going to spend quite a lot of time by themselves. So Erna, that is a very good question. You're asking the probability of a white lion having white cubs. And the probability is strong as long as the other lion that it's mating with holds the gene. So if this lion, for example, he possesses the recessive gene. If the lioness that he's mating with doesn't have the recessive gene of the white lion, there's no chance that there will be white cubs. They'll turn out just like normal regular lions, but there's a strong possibility that he's passed his genes down to his cubs. And so if those cubs somehow manage to meet another lion, there's a possibility that will turn into more white lions. If the white lion mates with a tawny lion that possesses the gene, the possibility is much, much higher. And so it's hopeful for us in the future, especially because we've got that one female white lion who's slightly older than her, or slightly younger than her white lion cousin. And, this young male is going to spend some time away from the pride. He's probably going to move off with his brothers much any moment now. Probably going to see less and less and less of them. But hopefully this young female stays around her maternal pride. And if that's the case, if she makes it to maturity and we see her mating, there's a very good chance that we could have more lions on our hands. So the mother of this white male is one of the females who is lactating at the moment. So we haven't seen any of her cubs yet, but she's mated with exactly the same males. And so there's a possibility that she has given birth to other white lions. There is about a 25% chance if the male and the female both possess that recessive gene, there's a 25% chance that they pass it on to their offspring. There's a little bit of movement, but I think most of these lions are now just settling in. And as soon as the sun comes out, which I think it will in the next few minutes, these lions will move into the shade rest for the day. So I think we've had the best for them. Myself and Seb are going to carry on with our game drive and see what else we can find.
And good morning, everybody. Fasten your seatbelts for landing, please, as we're pulling into Chitra Chitra landing strip. We are on our descent. Landing now. Chitra will be greeted on the other end of the runway by a pair of mating lions. How's that sound? Hopefully we'll find them. They are decided to come out to the open, the beautiful view of Chitra Airstrip. You ready, Marcelo? Open your wings. We're coming down. Flaps down, please. Wheels down. In-flight service will be suspended for the next 5 minutes. Please return to your seats. Fasten your seatbelts. There's another pair of lionesses on their way. Oh, there they are. Hello. Look at you in the open, lovely lions. Just going to approach slowly, because the tortured pride is not always that relaxed with our vehicle. They're not used to seeing our aerial. But the evoker male, he knows us very well. So we're just going to allow them to, get used to us. Slowly get used to us. And then we'll try to reposition ourselves in a way that we can get them doing whatever it is they're going to do shortly. Okay, so she's relaxed. You see how she looked away? She's not too concerned with us. But we're going to stay with the mating pair of lions and see if they get up to anything exciting.
Isn't that cute? Kind of cub resting on mom's leg and just right up close together. So she's moved a little bit because of the sun, and then the little one came along and they're having a little cuddle. This little cub is very unsure of a car that's behind us because we're on the main access road and the car is not a game viewer. And you see the difference in behavior between us as a normal vehicle that it's seen before and now a vehicle that it doesn't know. Very different behavior. It's kind of cuddled behind mom and it's almost like, Mom, protect me. You can see mom is completely unfazed by all of this, but it's a very cute picture of the two of them together, isn't it? I don't think mom is going to last like this. She's going to get irritated with this cub in her face. Looks like she's got lots of marks on the back of her neck. I'm trying to see what that can be from. Maybe ticks. She's been battling with a few ticks, or she's been in a pseudo kind of estrus and trying to keep males happy. Sometimes when they've got cubs like this, they'll try and mate with males that they come across just to try and fool them so that they leave the cub alone. But she definitely got quite a lot of scarring on the back of her neck at the moment. It is that time of the year where there's a lot of ticks, so it could be that too. It's not easy to see the angle we're sitting at right now. Look at that. Isn't that cute? This cub is very unsure. There we go. Okay. See, Mama was protecting us. A little bit of grooming. That's a sweet, sweet, sweet little moment right there. I just love her paws over the top of mom's. Kind of just hiding behind the little one. Oh, her mom's head. It's cute. Dolly, you say you love mom and cubs bonding. It's special when you see a kind of bonding process, and it'll be a very tight bond between these two. Unlike in big lion prides where the cubs have got other siblings, or they've got cousins, they've got aunts. There's lots of bonding that takes place with all of them. But whereas in this little pride, it's mom and cub, and so they spend an abnormal amount of time together compared to other lions. So I'd imagine the bond is very strong between these two. And when you see them interacting like this and having a little cuddle and kind of just being sort of cute, it's always a very special thing. And of course, it's not cuteness that the cub is doing this. The cub is genuinely, when it feels like it's unsure, it knows mom is the safety blanket, and so that's why it goes to where mom is and makes sure that it's behind mom, and mom is between it and whatever it deems to be something that it's unsure of. So even though it looks like a cute little moment, it's actually the cub's insecurity in a way, that it's pushing it back to where mom is and then lying up with mom and making sure that it's safe. And mom's reactions is what's teaching the cub eventually that you don't need to worry. This is all okay, and that's why the cub is now turning and facing away from the perceived whatever it was that was kind of making it feel a little uncomfortable. Both of them are not like skinny, but you can see that they do need a meal. And so hopefully they will get something this evening. There's a fair amount of impalas in this area. I would imagine that they'll go and hunt. All right, seems to be a lion-filled morning, as we thought it might be. Steve has had some success with his mating lions that he was looking for.
Live with us again on Chit to Everybody. Now, I'd like to do a little poll with all of you. You've just landed in the aeroplane. How many of you now would get off of the plane, considering there are two hosts waiting on the ground for you to get off? Be honest now. How many of you would actually get off to get onto the vehicle, or would you be too scared and sit on the plane until the lions moved off, considering you're in Africa and lions eat everybody? We always, first time people to Africa, obviously, there's that mindset that the animals are so dangerous. And of course they are potentially dangerous, everybody. If you let them leave them alone, they generally are pretty okay. So you land in the plane and there are lions to greet you. I've had guests in the past that have been absolutely terrified to get off of planes or off of vehicles because there have been animals in the vicinity. But as you can see by the behavior of these two animals, there's no feeding behavior happening. They're just taking it very easy. And to be fair, if they are indeed a mating pair, which we haven't seen yet, so I haven't confirmed that they are indeed, which I think they are, then we will see action soon. And he is completely concerned with her movements. And as soon as she moves, he will be up and after her. So initially, people said yesterday morning it was an Nkuhuma lioness. And then Tristan told me last night it was a Torchwood. Now, I'm trying to see which male lion that is. He's gotten a few more scars on his face. It looks like Blondie to me. Look at that scar over the right eye. That's a new one. Is it a scar or is it just some dirt? LP's got a really big paws indeed. Very big feet. And well, it's because he's got such a big chin. So you need big feet to cushion your chin, don't you? I mean, take your hands and put them underneath your chin. It's the perfect size. Now, if your hands were too small, it would just be awkward for your chin. And lions have got very big mouths and faces. So that's why they've got big paws. I'm only joking. The big paws on the front feet are to support the weight of the head and shoulders, which is obviously much heavier than the hips. And the size of the feet is determined by the size of the animal. A big pad for walking very quietly, stealthily, but also to allow them to cover distance in their walking. Lions walk on the tips of their toes, everybody. Type of foot structure known as digitigrade. We are plantigrade. We put our feet flat on the ground, whereas lions are on the tips of their fingers. It's basically their fingers that you see on the ground, and then the actual hand part goes up onto the wrist. You can see the wrist is all bent there. Only a little bit of it touches the floor, and that is the tips. Andre, I mean, animals do get sick. Ticks and diseases that they carry are a reality in nature. And there are many, many, many tick-borne diseases found out in nature. But there's elephants that have decided. That's what he's looking at. He's looking at an elephant behind us here. And elephants are going to leave them alone. They're not causing any harm, but they're very interested in elephants. They just disappeared in the bushes. He's now looking at the young elephant going, am I hungry or am I in a relationship right now? I'm not actually sure. But yes, ticks and the diseases that they carry are very, very prominent in the environment, and some animals will succumb to disease. Some of them will get quite sick, and some will even die. But through evolution and through adaptation, many of these animals have developed immunity to many of the diseases that they get. And by developing the immunity and surviving, they pass that trait on to the youngsters. Do you think that they were having a little romantic chat just before we arrived, looking into each other's eyes? Carl, I'm not sure how long it's been going on for. Yesterday morning they said 2 male lions, and then suddenly there was a male lion with a female. So if it started yesterday morning, hang on a second. Oh, sorry, that's not for me. So it'll go on for at least 4 days. Could push it to 5. Hang on a second, I'm just going to update. Yeah, space for 2 on that strip. Just updating that there is space. Others would like to come and join us. So mating lions, mating leopards, normally anywhere from 3 to 5 days. In the beginning, it's quite easy to tell how far into the relationship it is, because in the beginning stages, it's every 7 to 8, maybe 9 minutes. And as the time elapses and starts to get longer, you notice it starts becoming 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and then eventually hunger overwhelms them. And on they go. He's definitely hungry. He keeps looking at the elephants that are disappearing now. That means you must be really hungry if you're looking at an elephant. How many times have you said that before, Marcel? I'm so hungry I could eat an elephant. Definitely heard the term horse. But elephant, he's thinking, I'm that hungry. I jest this morning, everybody. Yes, well, Mark, they are separate from the bride. So while they're in a hunting or a mating relationship, they don't eat. They do not eat. I've discussed this at length before, but it's always nice to revisit these discussions with regards to drivers. Now, drivers are what determine animals' behavior. All of us can understand that. All of us have had that moment when you come home from work or you come home from wherever and someone has forgotten to feed you, because it's always someone else's fault. You haven't eaten and you are so hungry. You are so irritated. You can't do anything until you eat. Now, that is your hunger drive. That's outweighing irrationalities, outweighing many, many things. And animals are the same. Animals are completely, and lions are completely driven by these drivers. Now, the drivers are the hunger drive, the sex or mating drive, the parental care, defense drive, the fear of humans drive, the fear of something else drive. All of those can have a different sort of weighting on that animal on any given day. So when lions get into a mating relationship, the pheromones are completely overwhelming and everything's forgotten. Territory, feeding, thirst even, hunting, everything is forgotten, and all that is in the mind is the need to mate. Now, obviously, after a period of time, that need to mate starts to get a little bit sort of less, and the animal suddenly realizes how hungry they are, and due to the fact that they suddenly realize they haven't eaten in 4 days, that hunger drive outweighs potentially what normally would be a fear drive. So mating lions, mating leopards can actually be potentially more dangerous to humans on foot than a normal lion that was potentially just sleeping under the tree, because that hunger is so overwhelming that it outweighs what would normally be an instinctive fear. And so it's definitely discussed in trails guide courses. It's definitely discussed in those activities that lions with cubs, lionesses with cubs, and mating lions are potentially far more dangerous than just the normal pride of lions, due to the fact that the female is defending her cubs, so her fear of man is outweighed by her need to defend those cubs, and it can lead to them being potentially more aggressive. And it's the same as a male lion with a female. His need to defend his female is overwhelmingly more than his fear of you, and that combined with potential hunger, there's a very brave elephant over here, with his potential hunger, can potentially lead that animal to behaving in a way that you might not have encountered before. So it's very important to understand these things. I mean, you might know a pride of lions very, very well, but on a given day, those drivers can be out of sync, and you could potentially get different reactions. It doesn't mean that the lions are going to eat you, everybody. That's not what I'm saying. But it means that they might behave differently to you, which means that your behavior needs to be strong. And when you walk lions on foot, if you ever encounter lions on foot, it is absolutely vital that you never turn your back or run away. Because essentially, this pair, if they were individually on their own and you were walking, they would probably move away. But because of those drivers that we discussed, you might get a charge, you might get an aggressive response, which could lead to you potentially behaving in a way that you don't normally do because, well, they always run away from you. But today they charged and, well, you forgot your training and you ran away, and, well, that, everybody, could be a fatal error. This elephant is being very brave. He's showing his family, look, I'm not scared of lions. The grass is always greener on the other side of the airstrip. So I hope that puts those sort of, those questions, like answers those questions about hunger and who hunts. Because essentially, once these two have finished their relationship and the mating stops, they both go off and rejoin. He'll probably follow her, but she's done. She wants to find her pride and she wants to eat. And he wants to eat as well, so he'll follow the nearest bunch of lions that he can so that he can get a free meal. Lee, of course, yes, it works both ways. A young elephant like that is a potential risk from a pride of lion. It's quite strong, quite powerful. I don't think an elephant of that size could kill one of these lions because they're quite quick. But it's mum who would come to the defense of that youngster. That would definitely be a very, very big threat to the lions. and they would be very cognizant of that. Lions in the early stages are very inquisitive, and they love to chase, and they learn very quickly. Elephants are a little bit too big. But to be honest, a pride of lions has a very good chance against an elephant of that size and smaller. Any bigger, they start just getting a little bit too weighty, a little bit too strong. And lions need to be able to pull the animal down. If they can't pull them down, the elephant will just run with them on its back. To mum, of course. But that elephant is clearly not concerned, neither is mum. Otherwise, there would be some other behavior taking place. Darcy, and it's possible he's got a little bit of confidence to him. He might give the lions a bit of a rev. I don't know if he's feeling up to it today, but there is definitely the potential for that to happen. Elephants do definitely develop a lot of their confidence from the parents, and their behavior often indicates that. But he is also, if he doesn't have mum standing close behind him, it's unlikely that he's going to do anything. But he's definitely watching them. He's definitely curious. But he was more interested in the marula fruits that have fallen on the other side of the estuary. Okay, she's up. We're going to see if he's interested. And of course he is. Vehicles have just arrived, and seems like they might be just in time. So it's not that she's interested. She's gotten up to move into the shade because the sun has moved. Yeah, there's not much going on here in the form of a relationship. But it's possible she's definitely cycling, and he can smell that. So he's very interested to keep close. A male coalition will encounter female and estrus. They'll know that through scent, through pheromones. And the first one of the males to sort of lay claim will be the one who stays by her side. It is possible that over the days that they come... Is that mohawk? Oh, I'm finding it difficult to tell the difference between them at the moment. And there's definitely not too much love going on right now. They are wondering, is that elephant worth a charge? Is he worth some activity? Might be time for us to move into the shade shortly. The sun is starting to get quite warm. Okay, so we're going to do that, maybe get another position so that if they do get into some sort of a mating ritual, we might be in the perfect spot to film it.
Our first Wild Earth Explorers competition has closed, and we have a winner. Congratulations to Chantal Sleep from Benoni in South Africa.
I felt totally overwhelmed for winning this prize. I will be taking my son with me, and I can't wait to share this experience with him.
Chantal and her son have won a behind-the-scenes Wild Earth experience at the magnificent and beyond Ngala Tented Safari Camp. The prize includes a 3-night stay and a chance to sleep out in the unique Ngala treehouse.
I would like to thank Wild Earth for making this dream come true, and I encourage everybody to subscribe, to become an explorer, and stand the chance to win these amazing prizes, and so much more.
For this month, we have a brand new prize. You could be jetting off to Tswalu in the Kalahari for a 3-night stay at the luxurious Motsi Lodge. Open to all Wild Earth explorers who have signed up before the end of January 2021. Terms and conditions apply. If you love to watch Wild Earth, then we are inviting you to join our Explorers program. For a monthly subscription, you will have the opportunity to win fantastic Wild Earth expeditions. Join our guides for a chat around the fire, receive weekly highlights from our shows, and much more. All the money will go to keeping these live safaris on air, which in turn allows us to escape into nature every single day. Have you been watching Wild Earth and dreamt of being right there on safari with one of the guides? Well, now you can. Wild Earth is offering you a chance to buy a ticket to dream. You or a friend can hop on board a live Wild Earth show and join our guide on safari. The ticket is redeemable at any of our locations, anytime in the future. Only a limited number of tickets are available, so don't wait. Get your ticket now and start dreaming. Terms and conditions apply.
As you can see, we are, well, staring at grass at the moment, and that's because our lions are lying right there in that grass. You can't see them at all, but there are two lions lying there, and so I think we're going to leave them and let them be. They got hot in the sun and just kind of moved off into the shade and have taken it easy. There's kind of a gap. I don't know if you can see, there's a sort of little rounded gap area you can kind of just make out over there. That little shadowed gap area is actually where they're lying, is kind of flat in that little section. So we're going to leave them to themselves. There's no visual really to speak of in this long grass, and so it makes sense to carry on. It's also getting brutally hot, so I don't think that they're going to be moving at all. So I think we'll carry on. Let's go see what else is happening. I'll slowly bumble towards the hyena den, but I suspect that that won't be active by now either. It's going to be a little bit warm for them, although you never know. Maybe they've decided to come out and play and be around. Anyway, that was really nice though. It was cool that we managed to get Newbie? No, that's a fallacy. There's a beautiful Jacobin cuckoo, though. I think it's a Jacobin or a Levalence. So let me just double check quickly before I actually call it. That's a Levalence, sorry. No, those black lions are fallacies. They're all photoshopped images of normal lions that people have just basically colored black. So no, not in the wild or in captivity that I know of that it actually exists. Like I say, the photographs are all doctored images. There goes our Levalence cuckoo. Off it flies to go and do something else. Should probably go and raid a nest or something. They'll be breeding quite heavily at this stage, and the Levalence are always the ones that are kind of the last to leave of the cuckoos. Well, they certainly were last summer. They stayed until very late. I think I saw a Levalence cuckoo in June, even May, somewhere around there. So they stay for a long time. And that calling that you're hearing is to try and obviously attract a mate and then be able to start breeding. What a beautiful morning. It's hot, but it's pretty. It's clean and clear this morning after the rains, and I think we're expecting more rain to come though this week. I saw a forecast for Sunday and Monday that's close to 300 millimeters of rain. If that happens, we'll be flooded completely. We won't be able to do very much at all. In fact, the whole reserve will probably be underwater. After the amount of rain we've already had, to have that in the space of 48 hours would cause all of the rivers to run very high. Off-roading would be pretty much null and void for a good week and a half, 2 weeks. So it'll be interesting to see if we get that much. It's based off the fact that that cyclone is, well, not cyclone. At the moment, it's just a storm, but once it becomes, they're saying it's going to become a tropical cyclone once it hits the Mozambican Channel, and then it will start to make landfall on Saturday in Mozambique and then reach us by Sunday. That's the predicted. But what often happens with these cyclones is once they make landfall in Mozambique and they just sort of dissipate completely and become kind of a non-event. So we'll see how it goes. Anyway, it sounds like there's been some spots found elsewhere in South Africa, so let's send you across there.
Well, welcome back to Chitwa, everybody. We're from the lion sighting. We spotted from a distance some spots sitting on top of a termite mound right here at the Bushbraai site. So elephant, lion and leopard in the same place. Oh. Hello, boy. Looks like Sibuyi's young male. You can see why we're always looking at the termite mounds as we go around. Because they're always hiding on top of them. Oh, the impalas have spotted him. He's going to go for them anyway. Sorry, there's a vehicle in front of us. He's going to run through the bushes there. They spotted him. He wasn't even looking at them. Let's see if we can get a view of those impala. Here the impala are. They've spotted him. So he wasn't being very stealthy, was he? I wonder if his mom and sister are nearby. Might have been them that might have been the mom that caused them to alarm, because he wasn't really visible from them. Kyle, have you got visual?
Yeah, Ethan, it looks like potentially he's joined with Mom here.
Okay, copied. Let me know if I can join you once this settles down. Okay, so the impala definitely spotted his mom. His mom is in there. She was obviously stalking these impala while he was just playing around on the termite mound. And as soon as the impala started alarm calling, he went running because he thought maybe she'd caught something. But at the moment, the vigilant impala. Sandy, no, there was no scaring there. Often what happens is when a leopard gets spotted, they move off because they're like, oh, I've been spotted. But his mom is here. The guy, Kyle on the radio, just said that he's joined his mother. So she obviously had left him on the termite mound. She was stalking through this thick bush because they couldn't see him through this bush here. And he heard the alarm call and he's like, oh, Mum's caught something. So he ran to go steal it from her. And now they're both going to be probably just walking away. Squirrels now alarm calling. We're just trying to see exactly where they might be. Another vehicle with us here, so that's helpful. Which engage my low range, so we can do this. There, I can see them moving off on the left there. Have their visual at your 12 o'clock there. There we go. Two leopards. Often once the leopard gets spotted, they just pretend that they weren't trying to hunt anything, and they just lie down or walk away, start grooming, start doing something else. Just a little bit tight in here, everybody, so excuse us for not getting the best view at the moment. There we go. 12 o'clock. There's a leopard. There's two. Hello. Oh, you can see the size difference. I wonder if the daughter's here as well. I think that's the daughter, actually. It's possible that it might actually just be the two cubs that are here. There's a size difference between those two is quite noticeable. It's not uncommon for Mum to be leaving them alone at the moment. Just here on the left somewhere. You got them? They're in the shade there now. Alex, you'd think they'd hunt better together, but that's not how leopards operate. Leopards are solitary. They'll definitely feed on the same kill, but they won't feed on the same kill at the same time. There, that's definitely the daughter. They won't feed on the same kill at the same time. Mum will make a kill and hoist it, and she will feed, and then she'll actually have to leave. We saw it many times with Thandi, and she'll let Lalamba feed, and she'll actually have to walk away, and she can't look. She can't watch her feed. It's just too much for them to deal with. So essentially, once these two, it's actually getting to that stage where Mum's going to just leave them alone longer and longer, and they're going to start having to hunt for themselves. And he clearly was allowing her to hunt, and then as soon as she catches something, he's going to steal it. That's what male leopards do. And then there's no sharing at all. He might get full and move off and allow her in then, but that is probably going to be unlikely. Here we go. Second leopard coming in from the right. Hello. How blessed are we, everybody? How blessed are we? These are the two cubs. Not cubs anymore, though. I think Tristan said 15 months. They could become independent at this stage. Hosanna was already independent at a year. Obviously, the longer they can stay with Mum, the better the chances are. And they're very aware that there's a pair of lions just around the corner. Justine, I'm not certain. I don't think there's a hard and fast rule. She's going to start getting annoyed with him because he's definitely bigger and stronger. So if there is food, he's going to completely dominate. So she's going to be moving away from him. He's going to keep trying to find her. And then they're going to eventually start hunting on their own and sustaining themselves. And then a dominant male in the area will push him away. So he'll be leaving in the next little while due to the fact that he offers a little bit of competition to any other males in the area. You see, she's looking for food and he's grooming. You go get me some breakfast, Stan. I'll just make sure I'm looking up for it when the time arrives. Now the guys are saying this is Sibui with the cub. But I don't think it is. It looks like it's two cubs to me. Sibui is a big cat. It's two leopards, nevertheless. Anybody tell me if that is Sibui or her cub? I'm pretty sure that that's her cub, but Yes, of course, we were certain it was the male cub. We were trying to ascertain whether the female is Sibui or Sibui's other female cub, which I think it's the female cub. Sibui's quite a force. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. It's very cute. You know, they're both going to go through bouts of grooming. Okay, thanks, James. James confirming it is both cubs, so that's good to know. Mum's probably not far away, but I'm sure she's ranging further and further in search of food. Feeding these two is a process. Feeding these two is a real hard job. So she'll catch some food. Her motherly instincts will be to call her cub, but she needs to secure her belly first. You, Chris, you want to know how we identify leopards? Well, sometimes it's quite tricky if we don't know them, but identification kits, some of our viewers back home are able to identify through many different spot patterns on the body, through photo identification, but a lot of the times people will look at the spot pattern just above the whiskers. In this situation, it's nearly impossible to do so, but if you take screenshots, you can zoom in and you can do it. But there we go. She's looking at us there. 2 on the left. And 2 on the right. So you'd call her a 2-2, and then you'd have a look whether she's male or female. He's also got 2 and 2. He's slightly bigger. So you can firstly try to identify whether it's male or female. That's very helpful because obviously spot patterns can be very similar. But area specific is a really, really important sort of element. And quite often when we spend time with them for a long time, you start to pick up on general sort of facial expressions. Like, I don't even think I know Tlalamba or Tandi's spot patterns off by heart, or Tingana's or Hukumuri, but I've learned to just recognize their faces. They've got quite characteristic faces, just like when you see your friend. Maybe you've got 5 friends, and you can look at them and immediately you know who they are. We get used to it, don't we? We get used to it. So it becomes like that. Tristan's incredible at identifying leopards. He just needs a glimpse, and he knows. He's seen so many of them. When you first see a leopard, you think it looks just like all other leopards. But as you start to get used to them, as you start taking photos of them and editing those photos, I think you get a little bit more of a handle on those sort of idiosyncrasies that define them from others. Like Shadulu is a very easy female to identify. Tandi as well. But then we have many landowners that return to Djuma and Torchwood and Buvusuk, and it takes time. It takes time. I mean, it's very difficult when you're not seeing these animals all the time to identify who they are. Even myself there, I was going purely by size and by sort of the coloration of the fur. Because the female there, she's not fully grown, and you see how much smaller she is than the male, where he's sort of equivalent to Sibui in size. Let me just move forward here quickly, Marcella. Make some space here. Oh, Michael, they remind you of Hosana and Shongile at this age. I think they're a little bit older than Hosana and Shongile were when their mum passed. I'm not sure how old Shongile was when she was last seen. It was before my time. But brother and sister, they love each other now. We'll see see how long that love lasts. You see, she's alert and hungry, and he's just taking it easy because he's got two females looking after him. His mum's going to provide food, of course, and well, when the food comes, he knows he's going to get the best bits of it against his sister. September, Mum will hoist the food in the nearest location, the nearest sort of safe spot, and then she'll come and call them. It's possible a small animal like a scrub hare, whatever, when the cubs are young, she might bring towards them, but generally they hoist. That's the safest thing to do because moving around with a prey animal is potentially dangerous for the adult. Other predators will try and steal it from her, but once it's up a tree, the only threat really is that of another leopard. Okay, well, we're going to stay with this pair of cats. Maybe Mum will provide some food or return, but we also have to make sure that we make space as it is becoming a busy sighting.
Well, that will be nice if Mum comes back. Be happy for Steve if he gets all three of them together. I know it's been a while since he's seen all three of them. I know it's been a while since he's actually seen the two of them together, so nice for him to have them this morning. It's always good when you revel in your colleagues' success. We haven't had too much luck since we last saw us. We had tracks for what must be Darkmane, Mavoka moving down Triple M. They went into Arethusa, Simamili cut line, so I'm pretty sure his general mode of direction was southwards, and so that would indicate that he's heading towards Arethusa. I'm trying to get an update from the guys that side, but I haven't been able to get hold of anyone, so I suspect that he's there in that general vicinity. He's been making more and more kind of moves down towards Arethusa, which is interesting because he's always been happy just to stay up here. All of a sudden he's starting to kind of head back in those directions to go and see what's going on. The other thing that's around is Ntlangula, but he's right on the Manyeleti Kruger Park kind of boundary, so there's no ways we'll ever make it there in time. He's going to cross out, plus signal up there is a little dodgy, so I'm not sure we'll actually even get him if we did commit to it, unfortunately. But lots happening this morning. It's because the sun is out. It's drying up a little bit just in time for this tropical storm to arrive. Anyway, we're going to carry on towards the hyena den. Hopefully they will be out and about.
Welcome back, everybody. We are still with our two cubs, or sub-adults now, you could call them. They could both survive quite easily if left to their own devices. And, well, sister's being a very, very good partner right now. She's cleaning right inside the ears. He's going to miss the attention when they split up. Must be quite a hard thing for these solitary cats, going through so much attention and affection and love in the early stages, and then as soon as he becomes a male, or he is already a male, but as soon as he becomes a bit older and he's not dominant, nobody wants anything to do with him. He's just a nuisance, really. He steals food, he's a bit pushy, he's always in the way. I think they probably already feel like that with him. Poor Langa. Hayley, yes, leopards from an early age have the instincts of grooming and licking. As with all cats, it's that instinctive innate learning that they're sort of born with, that ability to start licking. I had a domestic cat that had this serious licking, compulsive licking. It used to lick me and lick anything that came nearby. With its eyes closed, it just was this like autopilot licking machine. It even try to hold its head back, and it would stop for a moment. You let it go straight back into licking. So it's an interesting sort of behavior. I don't think it's one that they really think too much about. They just know that licking is important. Although he's not doing much of it, he's just going, "Come on, lick my head, please. Don't go, lick my head." He wants some head scratches. And she's basically saying, okay, we've let the impala relax now. They've forgotten that we're here. Let's go and have another look. He's going, "Go ahead, sister. I'll just be over here. You know I'm always a nuisance and in the way anyway." Andrea, it's pretty much a dominant thing in many species around the world. Males are bigger than females, not all. Hyena, for example, are bigger. The female are generally bigger than the male. It's a testosterone thing. Males need to compete for fighting. They need to fight for dominance and for mating rights. And so in those societies where the bigger the male is, the more chance he's got of breeding, that genetic trait is passed on. If being a small male was advantageous to these species, then the males would be small. But clearly, it's shifted. We had a male leopard who popped through the population of Fujima about 2 years ago by the name of Kwatile. He was apparently a 5-6-year-old male, and I thought he was a female. He was tiny. He was a very small male. So whether he's going to mate, whether he's going to be dominant in any regard, is probably doubtful. Probably doubtful. In most animal societies, the